We have for so long been educated and conditioned to be, seekers and finders. And somehow, I've been on this path for a long time, and I've been looking for this, and then finally, found, thank you. See? But then there's, from this place of looking, all of that, the sense of the eureka is also seen. And yes, thank you, it's so good, I've finally got it, is also seen. From the place that cannot divide. It's neither a giver nor a receiver. And so for a while we must just keep confirming this. It just gets confirmed because it is natural that what you may call the ego or the identity wants to celebrate, it feels relief and so on. You see? But gradually now it will thin away. It doesn't just pop like a balloon being pinned or something. It may still continue somehow. You see? It's like the ego is fired, but it keeps showing up for work. You see? And next morning he's back at the desk. So, but I fired you, no? No, you were thinking about it, but I'm on time, everything. So we have to get used to him a bit, keep coming and going. And in some way, this subtle tension, we should not mind this, in fact, because to mind it too much brings you back into passion. It brings back something that can be disappointed, which is not the consciousness, the pure consciousness, you see. Again, there's still some residual energy in the form, hiding a little bit. But the big job is done. The big cut is done. The thief has been caught, you see. But still, he's going to keep trying and defending and a little bit like this. And it takes a little time to just gradually because once you have found where he's drawing his power from, just the very exposing of that, you see, is already cutting the juice to that. It will live just like if you have a fan, foop, 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 you turn it off, it will still keep spinning for a while. But the juice is cut. You see? If you're cooking some dal or something, or boiling some milk, no? And you have to be watching. But if you turn it off, you still plup, 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 but you can go out and have a coffee, it's okay. It's not going to boil over now because the juice is cut. And in the same way, this thing is going to keep playing to see if you want a bit of business. A bit of business today. And somehow your remembrance is bright, So, you again? Yeah. Or you simply turn away. And gradually, it cannot live without interest from you, identity, which came because you were distracted from your state. You see? And I see a place for it. Because sometimes we feel, I've been there, done it now. Now we can cruise. Everything is fine. The rest of my life I'll live in a hammock. But there's always some tension that will stay there, that will keep exercising your spiritual muscle for discerning, to keep checking a little bit. It can there. Also with my master, somebody once asked him, Papaji, you often talk about vigilance, but for you, in your case, do you have to be vigilant? You see? And he said, to my very last breath.
So that there is a popular misconception that enlightenment is the peak to aim for, and that once you become enlightened, you kind of cross a line. You suddenly lead a magical and blessed life. Nothing ever goes wrong, and that's it. That's the end of the story. It's a kind of fairy tale idea about enlightenment. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's enlightenment, which is itself a rather exotic term, for simply recognizing the unlimited nature of our own being. So that recognition is just a stage. Let's say it's a halfway stage. Actually, I don't think it's even halfway. But let's say it's halfway. Let's say it's the first step. This recognition, I am not this collection of limited thoughts, feelings, sensations and perceptions. I am the open, empty, ever-present, unlimited field of pure awareness. So that is the recognition of our true nature. However, that, as we were just saying in the previous conversation, that recognition doesn't put an end to all the old habits of thinking, and particularly feeling, in a way that is consistent with the belief, I am a separate self. So there is a post-enlightenment, or a process that takes place after the recognition of our true nature, in which we gently and lovingly encourage all realms of our experience to be colonized or by or realigned with our new understanding.
Even in the awakened states, as long as this body is here, the vital force is here, and consciousness is in this body, there will be the potential for this type of thought activity will come from time to time. But a wise one doesn't beat themselves about that. They look at it and they say, wait, I still have to exercise my muscle of discernment and detachment and look at them. And I feel that because as long as you have a body, you have to exercise your body. And you have to exercise the mind in a proper way. You see? So those you're aware of that. But those manifestations are always smaller inside the greater awareness. The greater awareness is your stance, is where you are. And so this is something to point out to people, because sometimes they forget, and because they forget, they panic and the mind start to exaggerate. Whereas in your heart, they start to lose power. As it comes up, you look at it and even more laughter start to come sometimes.
There is a gradual realigning of the way we think, feel, act, perceive and relate with this new understanding. This is the process that takes place after the recognition of our true nature. After the recognition of our true nature, for all of us, there are habits in the way we think, habits in the way we feel, the way we sense the body, habits the way we relate with one another, the way we perceive the world, that are still running on the old paradigm.
I am pushing you to that ultimate seeing, that pure awareness experience, self-experience. The rest is a gradual stabilizing of the attention, so that the vasana energies, those dormant energies inside, they are burnt. They are burnt, no? But they will come. As we spoke this morning, I was so happy to say this about this time frame within which the mind will be at its most potent in its resisting power, in its distorting and distracting influence, to try and break your concentration, to break your understanding, to make you feel unworthy, to make you feel you're not yet there. All these things will come, and you have to bear that assault. And so this is why we talk about these things, so we can expose these things in open air, so you know beforehand. Because if you expect something to give a big fight, you're more prepared. And then you maybe see it's not a big fight at all. I don't know. But it was a joy to expose this type of thing, that it does happen. And innumerable beings have come to a place of stillness, of no mind, and so on. But sometimes gradually mind crept back in. But initially crept back in, it doesn't have any power. You just have suggestibility. And then you supply through memory and affection. You start to give it energy again. And then it establishes another relationship. and it seems to create a cataract. We speak cataract in the real seeing. It can happen like that.
One has to become again fully established in the self. When I say one, who is this one I'm referring to? It is the consciousness that still has some leftover noise from identity, because identity doesn't just leave completely. The fragrance or the odor of it still hangs around a little bit, and it's got some tendrils that are, really fast growing. I mean, quickly it seems to again create the sense of a persona and everything like that. This is the most crucial and critical time in what we would call like sadhana, which is when one's practicing, one's looking, one's intense scrutiny, intense probing into, not just once, but twice and thrice and fourth time and fifth time, to keep proving and reproving your seeing. Where I say you have to digest your seeing, because otherwise there is a joy element to discovering that you're not the person. And sometimes we go off joy riding in that state for a little bit. But almost certainly at some point you'll crash again. You'll come into a sense of crashing. But in some beings, the intensity or the impact of the seeing is so powerful that the psychological self is driven back so powerfully, yes, that it takes quite a while for it to start seeping back into the picture, as it were, where the psychological identity seems blown apart or blown off by the impact of the seeing. But if it is not kept up, or in a sense, then it just drifts back, the noise again of the sense, yes, of personhood is drifting back. At a later stage, when the seeing is much more mature, this drifting in and out becomes less and less significant, to the point where at a certain point it doesn't even register as happening anymore.
Yes.
But in the early stages it is important to follow through and keep looking, because the mind in the character of what I'd call the distractor or some distracting energy, it's not going to give up that easily. It seems to come back in, and I sometimes point out that there seems to be there's a force inside that seems to hold our attention, or to keep the attention only upon our physical being,
yes,
and our sort of like daily existence and so on. And there's a force inside that turns towards the heightening of consciousness and so on.
It's not just a one-time recognition. The mind, there are layers and layers and layers and layers of habit in the mind and in the body. And it's my experience that these layers are gradually exposed to the light of awareness. I find now that my mind is constantly being illuminated by fresh understanding. That this understanding takes time to deeply penetrate the old structures of thinking and feeling. It continues to fill out and reveal itself and to colonize our experience. Not just our feeling, but even our thinking. In fact, I don't think we can ever say this colonization or permeation of our experience by the light of awareness ever comes to an end. I hope it doesn't.
Thank you.